So for this iteration of my level, I made quite a bit of changes to my, gray box of my level. The general layout of the level stayed the same, where you have bomb site A over here, you have your mid area here, your bomb site B here, and the terrorist spawn is here, as well with the buy zone, and the CTs spawn here. So first of all, I had to sort of redo my level from before, because as I was adding more walls and props into my original gray box, my level just became more and more unoptimized because I wasn't working with units of 32 and 64, and that's what Hammer's level editor, or at least CSGO's Hammer, the SDK, requires. So I had to basically go back and re-lay out my level, so you can see that rather than having a bunch of diagonal walls that were set diagonally, it's a lot more linear. It feels a lot more cleaner, simpler, and yeah, I think things are just a little more neater in that, where they're placed, the walls, the props. Yeah, yeah. So I guess the biggest change that I made were the bomb sites. So for both bomb sites A and B, um, you can see that I added more, cover, more props for the players to use or hide behind, and the bomb sites in general are just bigger, because from my gray box, I felt that the bomb sites were a little too small, felt a little cramped. There wasn't a lot of room for the players to move around on both sites, so I wanted to expand it a little bit more. And also for mid, you can see, if you notice, that I removed the big statue that was sort of in the middle over here. I just felt that it got in the way of both teams when they're trying to fight off and take mid control. So like the T's would fight the CTs off from here. Also this little window room, and then the CTs would fight the terrorists off here. And just having that big statue in the middle just sort of, I felt, took away from the fight and was very distracting. So I removed that. Instead, I moved the set of mid boxes cover, if you will, for the terrorists more to the middle. And I also added this electric box here, just so, and it's one more sort of system of cover when the terrorists are moving closer to sort of the connector areas in mid. And then let's talk about the connectors. As you can see, I also made the connectors between mid and B site shorter, just because it felt really unnecessary from my gray box to have them go up a set of ramps here and then go up another set of ramps here just to get to B site. So I shortened the distance quite a bit. The connector from mid to A, it's pretty much still the same, but I did add this little hallway here for both teams really, but most importantly for the CTs. When a CT spawns here and then they have to run to A site down this hallway, get up, I guess, CT main, it would be called, and then fend off any terrorists here. And then let's say in a real game situation, they're trying to hold off the terrorists, and then they realize they have to fall back and reposition. So rather than having them go all the way back to CT spawn, come up to the set of stairs here, which leads to mid. Go down this drop down just to reposition here, which was how my gray box was leveled out. I added this little hallway here so that the CTs, if they do need to fall back and reposition, they can just run down this hallway and just voila. You also notice for the CTs specifically, the I guess path that they take from CT spawn to either A site or B site, those pathways are a lot shorter. Just because I was still skeptical about whether or not the CTs actually got to the bomb sites before the terrorists do. So I shortened this a bit. Also, this is the way to be. I also made this a lot shorter as well. Before I had like 3 set of stairs here, which I felt was really redundant. So I changed that a bit. I added this little I don't know what to call this. I guess I don't know. Let's just call I added this dumpster here, and these walls are sort of built inward just to give CTs and terrorists more sort of cover if they need to, if they ever find themselves in a situation where they have to hold a position here. So also in this area here, I also added this cubby, which essentially has the same effect. So again, I added more, I guess, props here as well, on both bomb sites really, because after making the bomb sites larger, it just felt like there was a lot of empty space, and I felt that in a game there should be as much cover as needed, but also I didn't want to like oversaturate the bomb sites with too much cover. So, but pretty much everything else stayed the same. I like this idea of CTs. If they want to play aggressive, they can push up here, hold off this little room here, fight off any terrorists if they do decide to come up here. Kind of lost myself. I changed this part quite a bit just because in my gray box I had these logs sort of placed here, and it was kind of pointless to have the logs there, because in my gray box you would have to get past the logs to sort of look down this hallway where this car was. So I changed it so that the logs actually serve as a purpose for the terrorists to fight off as cover for any CTs that are hiding behind this car here. So the terrorists can either hold off this position here, or they can sort of jump across this, hide behind this cubby area, use these logs as cover here. And then this little window area stayed the same. Not much really changed about that. Down this hall here, you still have these 2 set of dumpsters, and then this set of stairs here, or ramp, where the terrorists can sort of hold off any CTs that decide to push. This market area is pretty much the same. east side, added those two boxes there to add more cover. And is there anything else that I should mention? Oh, I had in my gray box I had two set of stairs from CT spawn going to mid area, and it was just, I just felt that it was just too long. You know, it was unnecessary. It was redundant to have the player take that many set of stairs just to get to mid. So I just made one set of stairs here. Made the, I guess, rotation between areas on the map for players a lot faster and just a lot more convenient. But that, in terms of, I mean, I guess major changes, those are sort of it. I do have sort of the skybox set up so that the player isn't just surrounded or encapsulated in a box, even though they technically are. Um, I added more lights. I added an environmental light so that the overall map isn't just dark in general. Um, and I raised the walls enough so that the players don't sort of jump over the walls and sort of run out of the map where they're not supposed to be. But yeah, the signs again. I kept the signs because I found that they were super useful for both teams, uh, especially for players that haven't seen this map before. You know, uh, but yeah, that is basically my map for this iteration.